Research studies have proven that if you run away and shrink from your fears, they will only grow within you. But if you face them head on and tackle them, you can conquer those fears. Let's get into that today.
Give me a smile. Say, I got this.
I got this.
Show me. Here he goes. The natural bicyclist that you always knew. Go! Watch this. Getting his speed up. Getting his balance. Here he goes. There he is. He's cruising. He's cruising. Just don't hit the car. Don't hit that big car. There's one. Stop! There's only one car in the whole place. Look at mommy. Where'd you hit the car? Man, this is the first time he's wrecked our car, hon. Was that funny? Chance. Look it, there's no cars in this whole place. And he hits the only car here. How did you hit the biggest car? The only car. You crazy kid.
I can try it again.
Don't try it again.
A lot of different fears in that one little video clip. I was fearful that he wrecked the car. My son was fearful that he wouldn't even know how to drive that bicycle.
I was afraid he was a little hurt.
I wasn't too worried about it being hurt. Anyhow, let's talk about fears and all the different types of fears that exist and how we can squash them right now. As many different people as there are out there, there are so many different scenarios to which they are fearful of. What are you fearful of? Maybe it's snakes and spiders and the darkness, but what other people are fearful of are keeping them back, holding them from fulfillment of their true dreams and their true potential. When I started my business, for sure, I was fearful of a number of different scenarios that might play out. And I can tell you, one of the biggest fears for people who are entrepreneurs, especially when they start employing others, they start worrying about where is the payroll going to come from. They start thinking about how they are going to be able to provide not only for their own family, but also that of their employees. That was one of my challenges. So think about it. Maybe just before you were getting married, you really worried about how that might end up. That's a whole different territory. Or how many parents, as they are brand new parents looking at their child for the first time, didn't freak out like I did 4 different times in a row, where you start wondering, what am I going to do? How can I avoid screwing this kid up? And there is no manual for that. So you definitely get fearful because there aren't too many YouTubes on how to properly rise to the occasion and be a parent. My wife and I were playing in the playground with our kids the other day, and they were noticing the long shadows that they were casting in the sun. And what I realized at that same moment is it's not so dissimilar to what fear is for all of us, not just as children, but as adults as well. It casts this really long, kind of out of proportion shadow, and it kind of grips us tightly. But reality is, once you get a hold of it, once you realize it and you conquer it, it's much smaller than what we perceive it as. There's no surer way to fail than to never get off the starting blocks and even try. Everyone knows that, but yet we just need to realize that if you want to set yourself up for the best year possible, that you have to let go of these things that have been just holding you back. And we're going to get into some strategies that can help you relieve some of these fears and hopefully squash them for good. Understand the fear and embrace it. Now, when you think about it, fears aren't necessarily inherently bad or inherently good. They're there to give us some direction, some instruction, and the way that we handle that fear will either move us positively towards the outcomes that we want, or it will repel us from ever pursuing it again. I think we need to embrace the fear as instruction and let it inform your actions, but not control those actions. Right now, I'm having a deep sense of dread and fear that you're not going to like this, or you won't subscribe to this channel. So help me out and do both. If you're like me, you probably admire those people that just run into the flames as firemen or go right to fix the problem as doctors or nurses on the front lines, or possibly superheroes. Everyone loves a good superhero because they just take control, take action immediately. But maybe we're not inherently that way. For example, it is action even if you are going to ponder and analyze the way that you wish to proceed. So it isn't necessarily a bad thing if you don't jump right to it and immediately have that knee-jerk reaction to do something astounding. Sometimes a good plan and taking action in slow doses isn't a bad thing either. In my wife's profession as a school counselor, she would describe it more like a worry tree, which is basically this: finding out what are those things that you worry about or maybe you're fearful of in this discussion, and write those down. And if they are something that you can control for, and you can create an action plan so that when you encounter them, you can pivot and move in a direction that is more positive, then by all means, do that. But so many people are fearful of things that they have zero control over. Say, for example, if all you're worried about is you're going to get into a huge car accident, you can't control all of the traffic around you. You can, of course, be a very good driver and very cautious driver. Don't spend so much of your time, which would be futile, thinking about all the things that you just can't control. You need to educate yourself. We are afraid of nothing so much as the unknown. If your fear is based on a lack of education, well, then get that information that will make you feel really much more comfortable, and get the knowledge that you desire so you can examine the situation based on facts rather than on speculation. You need to prepare, you need to practice, and then you need to role play. Sometimes the concern that you have is based on presentation, and sometimes a job's going to require that you're in front of the public. And if that scares you in some way, if you have to do a sales presentation and you just don't feel comfortable, if you practice and prepare for it and then sometimes play it out in front of a mirror or an audience, a group of friends who would give you positive criticism, that would work out great. Don't do it any less than 10 times if this really bothers you to your core. The more you practice it, the better you will be prepared when it comes time to execute. Sometimes the pressure from your peers is the best thing possible. People always seem to talk about the negative impacts of peer pressure, but think about it. Your friends can actually encourage you to do really well. Do things and get you out of your comfort zone that you wouldn't normally do. How many people have bungee jumped simply because all of their other friends were doing it? I am certain the numbers would have been lousy if there weren't 3 or 4 of their friends that were egging them on. Now, if you use that and wield it to your advantage, hang around people that want to see you do well. Have them be your cheerleaders and have them be surrounding you when you have concerns about this. They'll get you through it. Here's an old movie, but I'm old, so here you go. Cool Runnings, you ever see it? About the Jamaican bobsled team? I love that movie. But if you think about it, the way that he was going to be successful, that driver had to think about every part of the course, envision it, get inside his bobsled in his mind, and envision every angle that he's going to take and every turn that he needs to make. Only then can you see success. You have to see it before it actually manifests. Okay, the movie eventually ends with them wrecking, and it was pretty lousy wreck, but maybe not the best example, but leading up until the crash, he was on point. It doesn't make any sense.
What? I thought they won their medal.
They did not. They didn't even.
See, that's not how I remembered it.
Like any athlete, you have to prepare and sometimes visualize that success before it happens. If you're like me, like in middle school or in high school, you worried about how everyone else was perceiving you. You thought everyone was noticing that acne on your face or that weird outfit that you decided to wear. But reality is people are not paying that close attention to us individually. We get in our heads and we start believing that everyone's looking at our flaws, but they're not, because we are really wrapped up in our own things. And the fact is, when you think about some of these fears, you gotta put it in perspective, but also in the proper proportion. Some of the things that seem so terribly fearful are probably, in the big scheme of things, not that big a deal. So you only know that after you get a little bit of space away from it. I know that this is true for a lot of things in my life. I was terribly afraid that the worst case scenario would happen, and you know what? Normally, worst case scenarios don't happen, and within about 3 months, it isn't a problem anymore. So remember that and look at some of the examples in your own life where that actually holds true. Get a mentor who can help you. Everyone could use some help. I mean, the best actors even have acting coaches. Best singers have singing coaches. And best athletes in the world, they have coaches as well. So why not look out for the kinds of people who are engaged in your business and look for the best of the best, who look for coaches who can get you unstuck, and you will find that it will probably resolve itself quite easily. In all likeliness, the thing that you are fearful of is probably been talked about quite a bit and probably written down in books. Look for books that cover that topic. Other people who have overcome the very challenge that you are overcoming. And I find that it makes me feel like it's so much more doable when I can read a come from behind type of story, somebody who has overcome this, and it kind of inspires you to do the same. Maybe what you're so worried about is that historically this problem has existed for you, so you always think it's going to be your problem, your Achilles heel, the thing you can't overcome. But realistically, maybe you haven't given it enough time. Sometimes you gotta keep at it. Keep doing it longer than most people are willing to do it. Let's say something's going to have a 10% success rate and you want to give it a shot, but you only try it 3 times. There's really no way possible for you to ever achieve success at a 10% success rate if you only try it 3 times. There just wasn't enough volume there to get enough math to make it work. So don't give up too soon and realize that it's just going to take another couple of calls, another couple of meetings, another couple of appointments till you get the success that you're looking for. Naturally, I'm going to tell you something that I like to tell you a lot. Keep a positive attitude about this. Stay as optimistic as possible. I find that the people that are most optimistic are successful, not really just because they are just hopeful that they are going to succeed. It's because they will try harder before giving up. Sometimes you just don't want to give up too soon. Don't sell yourself short. You have it in you, and I have complete faith that this will not be a problem for you as long as you focus on it and get over it.